Okay, so we have Caitlin, Harishita. Oh, Jai is here. Jessie is here. Okay.
Or even, the people who are here, you can also share with us, like, are you guys from Poly? Are you guys from JC or even IB? So we can really sort of understand, what kind of decision making you're going under right now based on your background. So because we have Megan here who did the IB, then we also have Elena who did A-levels, right? So we really have a broad background of students here, really here to just answer your questions.
Okay, we have Jie Lun. Is that how I pronounce your name? Jie Lun? Day?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing? Have you had your lunch?
Yes.
Okay. If this is pre-COVID time, we will provide lunch, isn't it? Jie Lun, where do you come from? Which JC, Poly?
Our Republic Polytechnic.
Oh, okay, that's good. What diploma are you?
Triple E.
Triple E. Okay, nice to see you.
Okay, so I think it's just almost about 2 p.m. So, before we begin at 2 p.m. sharp, thank you guys all for joining us. And as mentioned earlier, if you guys have any questions right now that you want to ask our students or even our prof right here, we have so many students from diverse schools. We have people from Triple E, electrical and electric engineering. We have civil engineers. We also have chemical and biomolecular engineers. So if you guys have any questions right now, just feel free to type them in the chat box. Or even you can share with us, what is your background? Are you from IB? Are you from Poly? Are you from JC? So this will really help us to really understand what kind of decisions you're currently undergoing and what decisions you have to make. So this session is really the prelude to NTU's open house that's happening this Saturday on the 19th of February. So, if you're still interested in coming and learning more about NTU, there are, I believe, physical tours and also virtual tours that you can sign up for. So do check them out. This is really a great opportunity to really explore the school and the opportunities that NTU has to offer. Okay, so it's 2 p.m. So I think we can start. So yes, welcome everyone. Today's sharing session really serves as a prelude to NTU's open house that's happening this Saturday on the 19th of February. So today we have 3 incredibly accomplished final year engineering students here with us. We have Chester, Megan, and Elena, who will be sharing more about their different engineering programs ranging from civil engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, as well as chemical and biomolecular engineering. So if you have any questions during the session, really just type them into the chat box. If you're shy, you can send them to me or you can send them to the students themselves. Really get all of your questions or doubts out of the way so you can really make informed decisions, because this will really impact the next 4 years of your life. So that's like, if you're from JC, that's like 2 times of JC. So that's quite a long time. So really make the best decision that you can. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have like a piece of paper next to you, or you grab something that you can scribble down all of the things that we'll be sharing with you today, because there will be quite a lot of information from various schools. Okay, so yeah, I think with that, we can start off with hearing from Professor Andy Kong, who is the Associate Dean of Students in NTU's College of Engineering, and he'll give you a broad overview of what you can expect from engineering programs right here in NTU. So Prof. Andy, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Lorraine. I guess all of you can hear me and can see the slides. Yeah, just a little bit about myself. My name is Andy Kong, and I'm the Associate Dean of Students at the College of Engineering here in NTU. Maybe I can share a little bit more. I actually graduated from NTU many years back. I'm an electrical electronic engineer. And after I graduated, I actually worked in a company for about half a year, and then I decided that maybe it's time for me to pursue a PhD. So I went over to UK to pursue my PhD degree for about 3 years, and after that I stayed on for further 2 more years to teach there, gain more experience before I decided to come back to serve my alma mater. And part of my job over here is to engage, people like yourself, and really to allow you to see the dynamism and the exciting aspects of engineering as a whole. And a lot of my work would deal with engaging JC students, poly students, as well as international students. And the main objective of this session is to really let you see how best for you to choose an engineering program of your choice to expose you to the different domains of engineering. Okay, so we hope that after this session, you have a better understanding of what engineering is about and what are the several domain areas that you wish to find out even more. Okay. One of the questions which I often get asked is, what's the difference between engineering and science? Because in the JC or even in the poly, there isn't, well, especially in the JC, isn't it? There isn't a course or subject called engineering, okay? The fundamental difference between science and engineering is that in science, you get to learn more about the world. You get to understand the laws that governs how the world works, okay? So you have, like, for example, the interaction of forces that is a function of mass and acceleration, and this law can even be extended to big objects like celestial objects, right? So engineering, on the other hand, is to apply these laws, these rules that govern how the world works, in order to benefit and in order to push humanity to the next level, okay, to advance humanity, okay? So that's the fundamental difference. Does engineer need scientists? The answer is yes. Does the world need engineers? Resounding yes, right? So why do I choose engineering? Because I think it is really an understatement to say that we are short of engineers. But at least for me, the fundamental reason why I chose engineering as a career is because that it is a versatile degree that is always in demand. I mean, if you look at, for example, for the past 3 years, newspaper reports, it's always about the huge shortage of engineers, professionals that can contribute to the growth of the nation. And one of the key aspects is engineering, where we push boundaries, technological boundaries, so that we can all advance humanity. Okay, so if you look at this, few of these Straits Times report as recent as December 2021, you can see that tech talent remains one of the most in demand of Singapore hiring, and this is going to pick up in 2022 and beyond. Okay, there's also another report in April 2021 that a lot of companies such as Dyson is set to hire 250 engineers and scientists in Singapore over the next 5 years. And as the economy begins to pick up again, you can see even the aerospace industry, okay, is set to offer even more jobs in the next few years to come. You can see in the most recent news article, and even today, right? The aerospace, the air show, right? Singapore Air Show. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for engineers to come and contribute to progress the nation. Okay, so this slide essentially shares with you what are the different schools underneath the College of Engineering here in NTU. So we have essentially 6 different schools. The School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering and Biotech, School of Civil Environmental Engineering, School of Mechanical Aerospace Engineering, Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Material Science and Engineering, as well as Computer Science and Engineering. Quite often we get asked, which are the biggest school, and the answer would be School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, School of Electrical Electronic Engineering, and School of Computer Science and Engineering. So each of these schools have roughly an intake of about 600 to 700 students. Okay. The remaining schools is slightly smaller. Their intake is about half of that. I thought it will be, so the wordings beneath are the programs that are run beneath each school. So for example, School of Civil and Environmental Engineering offers 3 degree programs. So when you apply for the program, you can either apply to civil engineering, environmental engineering, or maritime studies. Okay, those with asterisk are the Bachelor of Science programs. Those without asterisk are the traditional engineering programs. Okay, so we do have a few students like what Lovin was mentioning, and these students in the panel come from EEE, Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering, as well as the Environmental Engineering and CEE. So I thought I wanted to, so they will cover their programs in detail so that you can have at least a flavor of what their program is about. But I thought I can actually go through a few other programs that will also give you hints of what the program is about. Maybe I'll start off with Material Science and Engineering. It's essentially a program that will equip you with the skills so that you are able to design, process, test, and discover new materials. Okay. It also involves quite a bit of analyzing the structure, the intricate structure, the properties, for the purpose of enhancing the performance of these materials that will go into your consumer electronics, for example, that can even go into the building. So I thought I can show you a couple of videos over here so that at least you can better appreciate what material science and engineering is all about. So I'll just play the first video.
Ultra hydrophobic material. Generally, there is some interaction between solid and liquid, but it's difficult to imagine these unique tiny drops that are unable to wet the surface of the material. Science has made some great progress in recent decades in the field of hydrophobicity and opening a wide range of applications.
Okay, there's also a lot of interesting developments in memory material, and I guess because of time constraint, I will not show you all the videos, but I thought this video on memory material is quite interesting.
Nitinol. Nitinol is composed of nickel and titanium in almost equal proportions. It has the special ability to rebound to its original form even after you mold it into different shapes, a phenomenon called the memory effect, which is driven by heat exchanges. It is able to repeat this process many times over without losing the ability to regain its original shape. This material has a wide range of applications in the fields of electronics and mechanics. It can also be used in smartphones, robotics, and medical industries. Development and continuation of this material is very expensive, but this problem can be solved by the mass production of the material in the coming years.
Okay, so I thought just before I end off, just before I end off, I can cover, mechanical engineering as well. Okay, so mechanical engineering is actually a branch of engineering that combines physics and mathematics. And a lot of mechanical engineers gets to design, analyze, manufacture, and as well as maintain mechanical systems. So the first thing which a lot of people thought about in mechanical engineering is jet engines, okay, combustion engines. Robots is going to change the way we live and the way we interact. But I thought maybe I would just show you a video on Dyson, and I particularly like this video because it gives you a glimpse of what mechanical engineers in Singapore is contributing to all the hair dryers, vacuum cleaners that's truly made in Singapore.
The advanced manufacturing capability of Singapore in terms of the talent here attracted us. Since then we've built out R&D to support that in terms of our digital motors that are made in Singapore, whether it be mechanical analysis when it comes to acoustics or thermodynamics, or connected IoT products, robotics vision, robotics algorithms, sensor algorithms. We do it all here in Singapore, so it strategically is very important for us.
So I've worked on about 10 products in Dyson since I joined in 2012, coming from the air blades to the fans, the purifiers, the heaters, and then the latest Dyson Air Wrap. Right now you're in what we call a semi-anechoic chamber. That allows us to measure very accurately any noise that's being produced by the product. So we use it to measure what we call the overall sound power level, or how noisy the product is. We're always inventing new products. So every product that you see from us is always something that's radically different. And I think as an engineer, it's quite exciting to work on technologies that are always changing and it's not always consistent.
Singapore has some of the best universities in the world, and the students coming out of universities in Singapore, if they come to Dyson, can work on real products and see their real products get into market within a year or two. Matching up these fresh graduates that have got great ideas, lots of energy, with world-class engineers that have experience really is important. That's what makes us very successful, I strongly believe in.
Okay, yep. So I hope that all these videos will inspire to find out more, and certainly consider engineering as one of the possible, program of your choice. I guess without further ado, I'll pass this back to Lovin, who will then coordinate and have our students share their individual experiences in our engineering schools. Lovin, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prof. Andy. And yeah, just to catch everyone up to speed, I saw, I think, 10 people who streamed in just past 2 p.m. So just to catch you guys up. So today's sharing session is really the prelude to NTU's open house this year, which will be happening this Saturday. So this session is really just to really hear from, our seniors. These are all final year students and our prof, just to really make you guys have informed decisions and really understand what NTU engineering is all about. So yeah, you guys just heard from Prof. Andy, and upcoming next, we'll have 3 final year students ranging from environmental engineering, EEE, and chemical and biomolecular engineering. So if you have any questions at any point in time, just feel free to write them in the chat box. It's okay if everyone sees, let everyone maybe also understand what kind of questions you might be having. So we really want everyone to make really informed decisions since your applications deadlines are coming up soon. So yeah, so now we'll be passing on the time to Megan Chong. She's a final year student doing a double degree in environmental engineering and economics. So Megan, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Do let me know if you can hear me clearly and see the screen. Okay, great, cool. Yeah, so hi everyone. Like was introduced, I'm Megan. I'm from environmental engineering, and today I'll be sharing a bit more on environmental engineering as well as civil engineering on the side. Okay, so just a little bit about who I am. My degree is called environmental engineering, and I have a second degree in economics. I also am doing a specialization in civil engineering. Yeah, so it's a really long title, but basically it means that it's just one of the subsets that you can do in environmental engineering, which I will elaborate on a bit later. Yeah, so the things I'll be going through today is what is environmental engineering, what are the transferable skill sets that you guys might be more familiar with, career prospects and internships, scholarships, as well as student life in NTU. Okay, so firstly, of course, what environmental engineering is. Environmental engineering is, it is taken from Wikipedia, is the application of scientific and engineering principles to improve and maintain the environment, particularly protect human health, nature's beneficial ecosystems, as well as improve the quality of life. All right, so about the course, before I start on that, so sorry, I'm just gonna go back to, I guess, why I took environmental engineering in the first place. So I took engineering because I enjoy problem solving a lot. So I love the process of, I guess, figuring out solutions that are applicable, that are very tangible as well to real life problems. And I think especially for me, I was brought up to kind of take care of the environment and to realize that the environment actually has a lot of benefits, like when you learn about how the ecosystems work together to, I guess, clean, like for example, like the ocean by themselves. So it's actually sustainable on its own by itself. And I found it all really interesting. So I decided to take environmental engineering in particular because I had a particular passion for sustainability as well as to protect the environment that we live in. This is a bit different from, and I guess the reason why I didn't take like environmental studies is because environmental studies focuses a bit more on the root of the problem. Again, I have to say that I'm not from that course. I'm just speaking from what I heard. But environmental sciences are focused more on, for example, learning how to protect the flora and fauna, learning how to preserve the ecosystems, and they are more science-based, so they're less like applicable. Whereas for environmental engineering, what you're basically doing is to come up with tangible and physical solutions to the problems that we have. Yep. Okay, so I want to just delve a little bit into the course itself. So about the course, I'm going to go through 3 different things. So what the school is like, what the scholarships are available, as well as some of the career prospects in the future. Okay, so for environmental engineering in particular, to bring something that's more familiar, I think it's an engineering form that integrates every bit of the sciences that you learn. So chemistry, bio, and physics all come really strongly into play. For those that are unaware, so environmental engineering is a subset of civil engineering. So it's supposed to be a special type of civil engineering, which is used in particular to do things like water treatment, air treatment, and facilities like that. So we still learn civil engineering because it's still the core subject that environmental engineering belongs into. So that's how, of course, the physics plays in. We have to take modules, as you can see. I put the course content there for the first few years. You can see that there's a lot of like mechanics and stuff. So that's the physics side. It involves chemistry as well because I'm not sure if it's here. Okay, yeah. So we take chemistry as well because we need to learn, for example, like water treatment, which is something we very strongly focus on. Water treatment involves a lot of chemical processes. So how to use chemicals to remove certain particulates in the water. And for the bio part, we use a lot of bacteria in membranes or in just water treatment processes itself, as well as like air treatment uses chemistry. So you can see that it really integrates very well together. And I have to say that there isn't really like one certain science. For example, like if you were to take chemistry of chemical engineering, of course, I would assume that your chemistry knowledge would be very strong, or like you'd be good at or enjoy that. But for environmental engineering, it really is quite a little bit of everything. So for me, it was good because I personally preferred physics, but I didn't really like so much physics as well. Yeah, so for civil engineering, something special is that you can take this thing called a civil engineering specialization. So is it confusing, right? Because I said that environmental engineering started off as a subset of civil engineering, but now we have this course that's offered in NTU, which is called a civil engineering specialization. And why it's special and why it's unique is because after taking these certain modules, you get this specialization and actually qualifies you to take this exam called the professional engineer's exam. So it's an examination that certifies you to be a professional engineer, which means you can sign off on drawings, you can do most of the things, or like 3/4 of the things, maybe half the things that civil engineers do. So it's very, very unique. It's actually the reason why I chose NTU over NUS, because NUS has an environmental engineering course. However, they don't have this specialization. So if you take it there, you won't be able to take the PE exam after, to my knowledge, from last year. Yeah, so that's something that I think is really, really unique to NTU and something that's really worth thinking about. Okay, so basically what this means is that you can take, you're taking environmental engineering, but with a heavy focus on civil engineering. All right, so, I wanted to highlight also that if you're ever curious to know more about like what stuff you actually be studying, you can search your module, for example, like environmental engineering course content, and then the modules will come out. And sometimes it's very easy, it's easier to decide what you want based on like, so you can see what the modules actually teach. Yep. Okay. So for civil engineering and environmental engineering, this question comes out a lot, like what are the different things that you study? So like I said, environmental engineering is really a subset of civil engineering. So for civil engineering, you focus a lot on geotechnical, which means the ground, the soil mechanics, concrete design, steel design, coastal protection, and transportation. So it's really very tangible things that you can see. Any building that you see around, any infrastructure, civil engineers learn how to build that. For environmental engineers, it's slightly different. We focus very heavily, like I said just now, on wastewater treatment because it's very prime in Singapore. We have air pollution as well as membrane technology. These are the I guess more like engineering parts of what we do. So those are the things that we learn about. And I'll talk about the career prospects later on as well. And they differ actually quite strongly. They differ quite a lot in terms of these two engineerings. So I put 2 questions down there from our exam paper. So those are the kind of test questions that you would expect to see. You can see that civil engineering involves a lot of like design processes. So they'll give you like a loading, like for example, like this certain house with this number of people, how do I design the concrete so they can hold everything up? Whereas for environmental engineering, it's more like, what you can see down there, like water and things like that. Okay. So the courses that we have a lot of double major and double degrees. So, okay, we only have 1 double degree, I think. So double degree means that you get 2 degrees. Double major means that you're taking both subjects together in a single degree. And of course, there's like one more layer, which is like what I said just now, a single degree in environmental engineering with a civil engineering specialization. Yeah, so those are certain courses that you can take. For more information, I suggest you Google it or visit our open house this weekend, and we'll tell you more about it. Yep. And lastly, for this section, for scholarships, there are quite a large variety. So there are ones given from NTU as well as the faculty, which means like what Prof said just now, right? There's like CEE. So CEE will offer this scholarship, or your parents' school will offer it. So there's one by NTU, there's stuff by the faculty, there's stuff by companies. They can find on Brightsparks as well as government scholarships on Brightsparks as well. So that's just for everyone's information, I guess. Okay, so I think everyone is interested about the career prospects. So I'll go through the environmental engineering one first. There are 4 sections that are kind of broken it down into. First is government. Second one is engineering in private firms. I guess firms like stuff that do research on membrane technology, water treatment research, and municipal waste management are the main ones that I guess would hire an environmental engineer. For consultancy, this is something that's really, really, really big up and coming. Because I think a lot of companies are going towards consumers' social responsibility. That's what CSR stands for in terms of the environment. So they are trying to, I guess, like build their business model to be more sustainable, and that's what you can help them to do. So that's something that a lot of my friends on internships did, and research on the green economy, which is like how to make sustainability part of the economy. And of course, for those who have the specialization in civil engineering, the construction industry is open for you as well. So personally, for me, I've worked in a few companies on my internships. I did PUB, where I did like research in operations and management. So I went down to I guess like research on what are some like technologies we can use to inspect the drains. And I also because I was in operations and management, I went down to a few times when it like flooded to investigate why it flooded in the first place and things like that. Yeah. I also did another internship with a consultancy firm. So I did a cost benefit analysis on a waste stream, I guess like a system to like clean the different waste streams in Singapore. So for example, food waste, plastic waste, etc., etc. Our company created a nexus which combined everything together, and then we did a cost benefit analysis to see whether we want to do it in the first place or not. Yeah, so I used my environmental engineering expertise there to know like what are, I guess, energy efficient, which ones are not, so I can like pick out a lot easier. So that's what I did in my internship. And I did a construction. I was at a construction site as well, where I was doing more like day-to-day construction work. So like supervising and project management and things like that. Okay, for civil engineering, your stat box differ slightly. LTA, URA. For coastal protection is a very up and coming thing. So that's something that I guess Singapore is worried about. Engineering in private firms is mainly for like raw materials, like research, as well as like PPVC. So I don't have time to go into that, but then you can go and Google into like what PPVC is and like some prospects that Singapore has for it. For consultancy, it differs slightly. You're not really doing like research into economy, but I think you're more going to be doing like designing structures. So they'll give you like a building, and then the architect will give you a building, and then you can design like the steel or like the columns or the beams or the slabs based on like what the architect has drawn. And of course, if you get a professional engineer cert, which is like a separate thing after you graduate, then you can approve drawings. So for construction industry, like what I mentioned, it's mainly project management and construction management, directly. So I would say that, I would say that for engineering, like what Prof. Andy said, the skills are very transferable, and it mainly revolves around problem solving and project management. So there really is quite a wide range of things that you can do. Personally, I would say the biggest difference, the biggest difference would be that for civil engineering, you're focusing really on like the structures itself. There isn't much variety in terms of width or in terms of breadth, but there is a lot of depth. So you know how to like engineer the various types of parts that goes into a building. Whereas for environmental engineering, it's definitely more breadth in terms of like you learn waste, water, you learn like solid waste, you learn air, etc. But it's not as deep for sure. Okay, so for career, I guess the last part, I don't really have time to go into this, but I volunteer in Friends of Children, which is a volunteering club at NTU, and I'm like in hall. And then of course, NTU Student Life includes internship and exchanges. So finally, I think I left my contact details here on the screen if you would like to ask me anything else, because I am a bit short of time, and I think I talk very fast. So if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me. I think some tips that I have here is that do your research before choosing your course. Because like what Loveen said, you'll be doing it for 4 years, and also you'll be doing it for the rest of your life. Like I guess the same field lah. So you can scroll course outlines, you can scroll university pages, you can go to open houses, or like especially so you can ask your seniors for help. So the people in this call, I'm sure if they'll leave you your contact details, you can go and contact them. Just drop us an email, whatever. We'll be more than happy to help you. Yep. So that's all from me. Thank you. Sorry if I overran a bit.
No, thank you so much, Megan. I think, wow, even the last slide was super helpful, really giving us all the advice and even, all the career prospects. There's so many things that we really need to like factor into our decision, not just like what we're studying, but also our future after university. So I hope all of our audience really screenshotted a few of your slides, because they're really, really helpful. So thank you for that, Megan. Really, really amazing. We'll be moving on to our next speaker. We have Elena Koo, who's also a final year student studying electrical and electronic engineering. So Elena, over to you.
Hey, thank you. Hi, my name is Elena, and a little bit about myself. I'm studying EEE, and I'm in my 4th year, final year now. I was an alumni of River Valley. I graduated back in 2017. So a bit about myself, I guess. Okay, so I guess right now in your minds, you're probably thinking like, should I take engineering? If I take engineering, like, why should I take engineering? There's so many options. And if I choose engineering, like, which one should I choose? Should I choose EEE? Why did I choose EEE? There's so many questions. So I hope that I can answer a little bit of all these questions that are in your mind right now. So let me just share a bit about my story back from when I first graduated in JC until now. So in JC, I took part in a lot of like mathematical and like science stuff because I had an interest in all these things, right? Because in JC, we don't really have the option of engineering. So it's quite straightforward, just math and sciences. So for those who are interested, I took PCME, physics, chem, math, and econs. So back then, as a clueless JC student, only knowing that I like math and sciences, I was like, okay, where do I go from here? Do I take like science? Do I take engineering in uni? And if engineering, I don't even know what an engineer does, because we were never exposed to it. So back then I was kind of caught in a dilemma. I didn't really know what to do. So for those who are maybe a bit clueless about what's the difference between science and engineering, I know Prof. Andy touched a bit just now, but let me just illustrate it a bit with a simple example here. So you can see a figure of an inverted pendulum on the left. So as a scientist or as a physicist, those who study the pure sciences, the questions that they may ask themselves when they see this would be like, okay, what are the forces that are acting on this thing? And what values should these forces take for it to remain balanced, like upright? Whereas from an engineer's perspective, you may think like, okay, how can I create a control system or a control algorithm that can keep this inverted pendulum balanced? So you see that engineering builds on the knowledge of all the scientists. They study like friction, gravity, so on and so forth. Yes, you do need all those information from your scientist friends. And then you as an engineer, you build on that and try to create something that can be applied in the real world. So you don't really need to go in depth into like understanding how forces truly work, but you work more on how do I make this into something practical or an application. So this is just to clear the air of like science versus engineering, especially for the JC students. Yep. So knowing this too now, how to differentiate between them, they still didn't know what an engineer was back then because I didn't have this talk. So after I graduated from JC, I went on an internship with LTA. So this was me with my friends who also graduated from JC, and we tagged along for some LTA engineering works to understand a bit more about engineering. So that was the help that I got after JC. But now hopefully this talk will be able to help you all understand it a bit better. So after going for that short stint, I decided to extend this internship into a longer 8-month stay with them. And that was where my colleagues actually convinced me to take electrical engineering over other engineerings because I was still debating with myself what engineering to take back then. Yeah, but I won't talk too much about how they convinced me and whatnot. If you're interested, we can talk a bit more later on. So let me go a bit into my life in NTU itself, the courses that I took. So this picture actually shows all the courses that I took from year 1, Sem 1, all the way to my final semester now. So the ones in black are the core modules for Triple E. You can just focus a bit more on them. So some of my favorite courses are circuit analysis, digital electronics, data structures and algorithms, modeling and control, and process control systems. So I'll go a bit more in depth into why these few are my favorite courses. So bear in mind why I decided to choose engineering over science in the end, right? It's because I'm a person that likes to explain a lot of things. I like to understand how things work. And then I like to use that knowledge to explain to my friends like, hey, did you know this works in this way because of this? So that is why I chose engineering. And these courses actually help me to understand how things work around me and how I can explain to my friends how things work. So this is a picture from me in my internship in year 3, Sem 2. Yeah. Okay, so why are these 5 my favorite courses, right? So let me go quickly through these 5. So for circuit analysis, you can see here, there's a circuit diagram and it shows how a loudspeaker works. So having studied circuit analysis, now I can see like, oh, okay, like I know that's an op-amp, I know that's an inductor, capacitor, so on and so forth. I can kind of roughly understand what is required for the circuit. I mean, how do you build the circuit and how it interacts with each other to create a loudspeaker. Okay, so that's what circuit analysis will help you. If this interests you, maybe you can consider Triple E. Another thing is for digital electronics, I can understand how a computer actually thinks or how a computer actually works. Because for some of you, you may know that a computer works with binary, right? The most basic 1 and 0s. So working with 1 and 0s, how can that multiply things, for example? So here you can see the logic diagram of how a multiplier works. Okay, and then moving on, we have data structures. So I like to understand how code actually works. So one of the common questions is, how can you sort a given list of random integers in ascending order in the most efficient way? There are many different ways to do it, but what's the most efficient manner? That's what data structures and algorithm would help you understand. Okay, oh, sorry. And then next one is modeling and control and process control systems. So for those who took physics, maybe you might have seen this diagram before, you know, of how an iron works. So for those who don't know, an iron works by iron manages the temperature by using a bimetallic strip, right? So according to the heat, it will expand to different extents and then the circuit will open and close. So that is like the analog version of how control systems work. And so in uni, you study a bit more on the digital controller side and how you can implement these kind of controls in a more complicated manner, because for the iron, it's just a bimetallic strip, right? So now in uni, you learn a bit more in depth of how to control these kind of things in life. So if any of these things that I just said just now interest you, you may want to consider Triple E, because these are the things that you'll get exposed to. Of course, I didn't talk about all of it. There are other specializations as well, which if you're interested, you can read more on the website as well. So just briefly go through some of my internship experiences during my university days. So I went on quite a number of them, 4 of them in total. I went once every summer. So just to summarize it really quickly, the kind of things that I did at my internship was to write scripts to automate some of the processes in this departments, and also delved a bit more into railway applications, because for me, I am an LTA scholar. So in the future, I'll be working in LTA. So that's why all my internships are looking at different railway applications. So in this case, it's a bit more niche, my internships, but these are the kind of things that I did as an intern. And I'm pretty sure if you talk to other Triple E undergrads out there, they would have very, very different experiences as well, because Triple E is truly applicable in many, many different areas. So this is just one part of the many things that you can do as a Triple E student. So let me just digress a little bit to talk about what an LTA engineer may do, because some of you might be interested in it in the future. So some of you may feel, okay, as an LTA engineer, my friends are just going to keep calling me every time the train breaks down. They'll be like, hello, do you know that the Northeast line broke down this morning? Can you go and fix it? You know, you might feel that that's what an LTA engineer would do. And you're not that far off, because some of the friends, you know, they really just want to strike up a conversation with you. But more than just being a so-called call center, LTA engineer also does the daily operations of, for example, the railway system. So it's truly a cradle to grave kind of job scope, right? So from when the trains arrive in Singapore, or even before the trains arrive, you know, the designing phase of the trains, you are involved in that as an engineer, all the way till when these trains are scrapped because they're old and they can't work anymore. You can see on the picture on the right, that was like the Siemens fleet being discarded or scrapped. So this is what an LTA engineer would do. And if you want to know more about it, you can talk to me after as well. So with that, I'd like to end my presentation here. I hope you have gotten a bit of knowledge of what a Triple E student does and what are the opportunities that are out there waiting for you. If you want to know more about it, you can always drop me an email, and I wish you all the best for university. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Elena. Wow. I think what's really amazing about like the presentations is you guys are really showing like the audience what you guys are learning, like the past year paper questions, the diagrams. I think it's really, really good that, you know, people can really see what they might, you know, consider learning in the future if they join NTU's engineering programs. So yeah, looking at the time, I think we'll just move straight on to our last speaker. We have Chester Yeo, who's also a final year student, and he's studying chemical and biomolecular engineering. So Chester, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you guys see the slides?
Yep, perfectly.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Chester Yeo, and I'm from Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. Under the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering, and Biotechnology. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through briefly what I'm going to talk about. So I'll be introducing what is my course and what really started the interest of this, and why NTU instead of NUS. Then also we'll talk about like my favorite modules, and some of the CCAs that I've been through, internship, and also afterwards the job prospects. So just an introduction, what is chemical and biomolecular engineering? So the first thing they thought of is chemistry. Yes, we do chemistry, but ours is more of the process itself. What we do is the scaling up of it. How do you troubleshoot stuff? It's not the discovery, but it's more of like the application of it itself. So that's what defines as an engineer itself. So for most of us, you go into like oil and gas, pharmaceutical, food science and tech also, and also like semiconductor too. There's also the right range of courses that you can, or like not courses, so jobs that you can go to in the future too. So for me, what started this interest was actually from sake making. So basically, I just graduated from O levels at that time, and then I was thinking, where should I go next? So I turned on the TV and watched, and I saw a CNN documentary about sake making. Then I'm thinking, how do I scale that up? So yeah, so this was one of the things that caught my attention. So I was thinking, wait, so should I go into food technology or like chemical engineering? But chemical engineering was like more vibrant, as in like there's more things that you can do there. So that was why I chose chemical engineering. So another is why NTU. So another fun fact is that I stay opposite NUS Business School. Like it's legit like a 5 minutes walk only across the road. But yeah, that's what all of my friends saying, you should just go on NUS. But not really. Like I really enjoyed my time in NTU. And before that, I actually asked like a few people about NTU in general. Because my cousin was basically a senior in my school. He was 7 years my senior. And then basically I asked him like, why do you choose the like NTU instead of NUS? And like, what like, is it because of the culture? Then he did say, yeah, the culture is really different. Like he feels like the way when he went for open house, the way they talk to you is also different. Like I feel like, okay, honestly, I don't want to say anything much about NUS, but in NTU, our professors are really helpful and caring. Like you can ask them at any point of time, they really help and answer you. Yeah. And then the school culture is really together itself. Because for us, right, we're only about 200 students at that time for chemical engineering. But for NUS side, it was way more. Yeah. And in NTU, right, we have this thing called orientation groups. So for like, let's say you start off in year 1, you join the orientation camp, you have your orientation groups, and usually stay with your friends there. But in NUS side, they also have orientation, but they don't really stay in your orientation groups, from what I heard from my friends. So this kind of spurred me on to also join NTU in a way. Yeah. So some of the basic modules for chemical engineering is that you will actually learn like physics, chemistry, and bio. So you will learn basically the H2 levels of it. Yeah. Then the next step after that, after you got your fundamentals down, you'll be going deep diving into the engineering factors of it, which is like fluid mechanics, process control, and then the unit operations of it. Yeah. So yeah, some of my favorite modules would be like KMS transfer. Okay, the reason why I chose this was, even though it's tough, but because I got it during the COVID semester, and then what they gave us was actually a egg cooking project. Yeah. So basically, you're supposed to cook an egg, and then you need to devise how long does it take to cook a perfect egg. Yeah, like a perfect onsen egg. I was like, whoa, damn, you don't get to do this every day. So yeah, it was really fun doing it with my other friends. Yeah. So we basically cooked a lot of eggs. Yeah. Then the second part of it was cooking a carrot. So cooking a perfect carrot. Yeah. Yeah. So the next thing was also case study. This case study module. Basically, what it's actually about is that there'll be companies coming over to school, and they give you problems to troubleshoot. So basically, it's like forensic science, but in terms of the engineering perspective itself. Yeah. So it's it's really very interesting itself. Then for NTU side, we have laboratory classes, like really a lot. So every semester you take laboratory classes, and you have a lot of hands-on experience with it, as compared to NUS side from what I heard at that time. Because at that time research was like only one, because I'm a poly student. So if I will go to NUS, I only would take one lab module. But if I go to NTU, you'll be taking multiple lab modules. Yeah, so I'm a more hands-on person. Yeah. Then another few modules that I took in NTU was also like music arrangement and also like consumer neuroscience. Yeah. Okay, so I also like to show some of the school life stuff that I've done. So basically, this was actually during the open house photo shoot last year. Yeah, so we did a video of it, and it's really very fun itself. Yeah. Then for me, I also started a club in NTU. So or in SCB or like in my school in general. So what we do is this is a fermentation club. So what we usually do is like beer brewing and all those. Yeah, so these are some of the pictures that some of the workshop pictures itself. Yeah. So recently we also hosted the beer brewing competition. It was really very tough to host it because it was during the COVID period, but we still managed to hold it because it was basically it's like you must really segregate out everybody. Like you have to do the PCR test. You have to do the COVID testing, and it was really troublesome. So the backline of it was really troublesome, but in the end we managed to do it, and everyone was really happy about it. Yeah. Then next we also had like kimchi workshops for those who are unable to drink beer or like can't drink alcohol. So this is something we also initiated with. Yeah. So for me, I have a bit too much of a CCA kind because I really enjoy school a lot. Yeah, so you can see me on the right. But basically, I joined the inter-school games itself, representing for the school itself. Yeah. So yeah, NTU has really a lot of CCAs for you to enjoy also. Okay, so I'd like to show my internship experience also. Is that I recently internship at this company called Dutch Lady Milk. So this company actually does milk production itself. Yeah. So what I do is that basically the company will send us any problems in the milk. Then we need to troubleshoot like how we're supposed to solve this problem, the milk itself. So it could be, is it a machine problem? Is it a materials problem? And all this is something that you don't get to learn in school very easily. Yeah. So all these internships is really very good for us. Yeah. And the good thing is about for NTU side, right, is that NTU chemical engineering, we have a compulsory internship. But unlike in NUS side, NUS doesn't have a compulsory internship. Yeah, that's what I heard from my friends there. Yeah. So another thing that comes in with the internship is the fun part also. Yeah, so you really make a lot of friends there. Like the company actually give us like a budget to also go out to eat with our intern friends or even with the other teams too. Yeah, so you actually really get to learn a lot from them also. You get to ask their experiences. So what happens in this industry itself? Then are you able to join the industry? So what are the difficulties there also? Yeah, it's a very good experience there. So I'd like to come to the final part is that, yeah, so why you should join? I mean, if you want to come into chemical engineering in general, yeah. So it's really a world of opportunities as a chemical engineer. So you can go into oil and gas, you can go into pharmaceutical, you can go into food science, even the semiconductor too. Another few other things that the seniors also have been going through is they can go into like data analytics or data science. Another others is remember correctly was even business too. Like let's say you do the course itself, but you feel like you are towards the business side, you still can do a business because even for us chemical engineers, we also take business modules. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome, Chester. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, I think, we have seen a lot of experiences from all three students, as well as the insight from Prof. Andy as well. So, so now I'm sure some of you might have questions that you've been waiting to ask all of our amazing speakers. So now we'll be moving on to the Q&A chat segment. So it'll be very casual. Just send in any questions that you have. Even the simplest question will definitely really, I think, help everyone to make a better informed decision for your applications coming up. So today we're also joined by Miss Joy. She's the outreach manager from NTU's School of Material Science and Engineering. So if you have any questions related to material science and materials engineering, you can also post them here and she can help answer them for you. So yeah, just to give everyone a brief overview again of the type of questions you can ask to our students. We have students from environmental engineering, Triple E, then we also have, sorry, Chester, yours is a bit long, chemical and biomolecular engineering. So yeah, just ask your questions and we will definitely get to them. So maybe we can just start the ball rolling. There were a few questions sent in earlier before the session. So the question is, what is something that, you know, students should consider before entering engineering? Or was there something that you missed out considering and made you think, oh, maybe, you know, I should have considered it, you know, considered this before confirming my engineering degree studies? Yeah, Megan, would you like to start with an answer?
I think so, just like what I highlighted just now, if you do, I think something that I would have considered is the type of sciences that it involves. So yeah, I think for example, if I had taken what Chester's taking, I think I would be doing really badly because I'm really bad at chem. Yeah, so I think knowing what subjects are related and also just scrolling through the courses to see like what kind of fields they are in, or even if you're like if you're the kind that, for me, I like doing questions, right? So I go and see the type of questions that I'll be doing. So those are the things that I would say. And also just know what you're passionate in. I feel like, for example, having an interest in something or having a passion for something will really, really help you be less bored, I guess, when you're studying. And also, like, when you're doing internships, it's way more exciting when you're actually interested in what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So it's, you know, knowing about actually what you're studying, doing your research and reading up on the course that you're going to apply for, as well as interest and passion. Alina, is there anything that you want to add on, perhaps, you know, that you wanted to consider before entering engineering?
I think I really agree with what Megan said, you know, knowing what you want to study, having a passion for it, because I do have a few friends in school that they're just in here to just get by with uni, and then after that they'll go and pursue something totally different. And I feel like, well, that is not, say, a wrong option. It definitely doesn't add as much to this 4 years in uni, right? So of course you want to make the best out of this time. So it's great to kind of know what you're getting yourself into, the modules that you'll be studying, just a bit. You don't need to go and study in depth because you have a lot of time in uni to study it in depth, but just have a kind of a brief understanding of what you're getting yourself into, what are the kind of things you might work in next time as well. For me personally, the internships that I did before matriculating also helped me to better understand what my future work might look like, because this is kind of going to shape my career too. So getting to know what you're going to study would be quite helpful, I believe. Yeah.
Absolutely great. Thank you for that. So maybe we can also ask you, Prof. Andy, you know, as a prof, you have really seen like hundreds of students go through the whole engineering academic journey. Do you also perhaps have any advice for incoming students and what they should really consider before choosing the type of engineering programs to pursue?
Okay, yeah, I think two things from me. I still remember one of my mentor, you know, always reminded me that it is okay not to know what you like, because sometimes it takes time to explore. Okay, I guess that's what a lot of students here, you know, is currently facing. But he also reminded me that it's really not okay if you don't even know what you don't want. Okay, so I think that really woke me up a little bit. So I think through elimination, I kind of know that, okay, this is my path. My career will be in this realm. Then the rest, you can, you know, focus more energy on what you have shortlisted. And I think the second aspect would be to look for resources, and these resources can come in many ways. I have showed you in my presentation, you know, YouTube has a lot of resources. CNA has built a fairly good repository of how engineering is going to change the world, you know, not just in Singapore, but beyond, you know, Singapore and Southeast Asia. So there are a lot of resources in that. You can also talk to people, and our student ambassadors have very kindly shared their email addresses. Feel free to contact them. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Prof. Andy. Yeah, so to our audience, it's really about trying to be engaged and really trying to put in the effort to get as much awareness as possible in engineering. So we have a question from from Natasha, and it's about aerospace engineering. So unfortunately, we don't have any aerospace engineering students here with us, but we have students and we have Prof. Andy who are definitely aware about aerospace engineering in NTU, so we can definitely answer your question. So yeah, the question is, is aerospace engineering related to the mechanics of planes, and how would that help if my eventual career path is to be a pilot? Anyone can answer if you guys have any knowledge or any friends who's studying like aerospace engineering.
Yeah, I think I can take that.
Okay.
Then our students can supplement if I miss out anything. Certainly, aerospace engineering will involve the mechanics of the planes. So what you do is aerodynamics, thermodynamics as well. Yes, the heat transfer aspects. This is especially important if you want to design jet engines. Fluid mechanics, the study of how air and fluid flows through structures. I guess you learn about Bernoulli theorem in A levels. That will come in handy. Would it help if you would like to work as a pilot? Yes, for sure, it will help. Because that will allow you to better appreciate the structure of the plane and how you can, enhance the performance of the plane subject to the confinements of the physical aspects of the structure.
Great, thank you, Prof. Andy. Final year students, maybe Chester, do you guys have anything to add based on your experiences with your aerospace friends, maybe, or we can move on. Another question from Natasha. Is there a difference between aerospace engineering in NTU and the aeronautical engineering in NUS? Prof. Andy, could you perhaps take this one as well?
I think there is a substantial overlap between these two, but in aerospace engineering course in NTU, you are also exposed to the space aspects. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is you get exposed to satellite technology, you get to work very closely with engineers that goes beyond just aerospace engineers. Okay, you get to work with engineers from electrical, electronic engineering, computer science. This is especially so given that there is a great push in our education, in our NTU 2025 education, to move into the interdisciplinary education. So you will see more and more opportunities for different domain areas, students studying the different domain areas to interact. And this will mimic what is happening in the real world. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Speaking of like interdisciplinary education here in NTU, maybe we can ask the student speakers here today, when people think about, oh, I'm gonna study like engineering, they might be afraid that all they're doing is engineering courses all the way. And, we know that that's not true because we have like unrestricted electives. We have all the interdisciplinary core modules that we have to take now. So could you perhaps share what are some of your favorite non-engineering courses that you have had the opportunity to take here in NTU? So maybe Chester, you can start off.
Okay. So actually for us chemical engineers, we do take a lot of interdisciplinary modules also. So one of them is called decision tools for business. So basically you learn about the balance sheet and all those, and how do you basically you learn about the business sides of engineering itself. Another few others is like data science also. So you learn how to use Python and MATLAB. So those are the major tools you actually use in chemical engineering. Others would be also we have a lot of this engineering communication modules. So basically they teach you how to basically present your stuff also. So it's not just engineering in general. And especially if you come to chemical engineering, you also will learn about electronics. You will learn about all the other kinds of engineering also. It's not just chemical engineering in general. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. How about you, Megan? I know your plate is pretty full with the double degree and then the specialization in civil engineering, but have you had the opportunity to take perhaps maybe a like sort of non-engineering course that you really enjoyed?
Okay, I have to say that for a double degree, you don't actually take any fun things. So you only take like for me, I only take engineering modules or econs mods. But I think exactly what Prof. Andy said, the field and the market for interdisciplinary studies is really, really, really booming right now. I have to say that a lot of my internship experiences or my interns, when I go for interview, the first thing they ask me is like, how can you contribute better with both degrees? So just put an input here is that for me, when I take my second degree in economics, it may not seem to be related at all, but what it does, it really shapes my thinking. So when I approach engineering problems, I approach it in a different way compared to my classmates, right? They see it really as an engineering problem itself. But for me, because of my training in taking the econs modules in the back, I approach it in terms of like, what's the cost and benefit of implementing the solution? So it's like a 2-in-1 in that sense. I don't have to be trained again by, like, for example, the consultant from our work for, or et cetera, to think in a certain way or to approach a problem in a certain way, which, because at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of companies are profit driven, right? So the thing that you use to communicate to your bosses or for your bosses to communicate to their bosses in terms of money, right? So when you're trained in that way, you approach a problem differently. So I strongly encourage, I think NTU has a huge variety of, if you don't do double degree, there's double majors, there's a variety of even minor progress and electives that are related to business or related to another domain that you can take like a lot of in that field. So then it really, really equips you with a huge variety. Like the opportunities are really endless. Yeah, NTU provides quite a lot. Yeah, so that's for me on interdisciplinary things.
Great. Okay. Wow, very, very interesting. Okay. I think it's really interesting how you talk about the two different mindsets and two different approaches when it comes to tackling problem solving. I think that's really valuable in today's world as well. So I think this next question is more geared towards Prof. Andy. This question is about whether computer engineering in NTU is more towards the hardware or software being like the coding and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think thanks for the question. I think there is certainly overlap between computer science and computer engineering, and computer science focus more on the algorithm, the software aspects, okay, cybersecurity and such. Whereas computer engineering deals with intelligence, okay, how do you inject intelligence into machines? And most people would think about this as robots, okay? How do you allow robots to make intelligent decisions? Allow robots to have a sense of its surrounding, the situation awareness. So this would deal mainly in computer engineering, but certainly there are overlaps. Yes.
I see. Thank you, Prof. Andy.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope
that answers your question.
Yeah. I hope, Samuel, that answers your question. So I think just to round up, we have just two more questions. So the first one is, I think Megan, you can answer this. What is like exactly the main difference between civil and environmental engineering? If you could just explain that one more time for us.
I think civil engineering focuses a lot on the infrastructure. So civil engineering has a lot of depth in terms of, how to make the foundations, how to design every single part that causes it to come together. And of course, it focuses on transport. So transportation engineering, like how to build my MRT structures, how to build the roads, etc., is all covered by civil engineering. Whereas for environmental engineering, you focus more on different environmental problems and their solutions. So I guess it's not really like infrastructure focused, but it's like on air, water, and as well as like we are starting to touch a little bit into like consumer social responsibility. Company social responsibility, CSR. Sorry, I forgot what it stands for right off the top of my head right now. But yeah, so that is something that they're focusing on. So how to help businesses to make their approaches more sustainable, etc., So that it's a lot of problem solving in different aspects. But it really very cruelly is how to clean up people's problems. In a very, very like physical sense. Yeah. So air, water, and municipal waste. So like your rubbish. Yeah.
I see. So yeah, so civil engineering is more about infrastructure, whereas environmental is air, water, and waste. Okay, so just to wrap up, one more question. Maybe each of you can answer this question. So if you guys could condense what engineering is all about into like a sentence, how would you describe it? Just to round off, what is engineering? Maybe Elena, you can go first.
Okay, I think personally for me, engineering is trying to find the best solution for existing problems to improve the livelihood of people around us. Or sometimes it may not be as great as improving livelihood, but helping your company get more profits, for example. That's a more selfish stance, but these are just, trying to find solutions to meet a certain goal that is already set there, be it by your company, by society, by your ethics, these different kinds of goals that you may have for yourself. So the different aspects of engineering, like actually all of them are trying to serve the same purpose, right? It's just that we are looking at different specializations, be it, for example, in terms of, for Megan, it's the environment kind of problems. For maybe for Chester, it's more of like scaling up production kind of problems. For Triple E, maybe it's how to improve your computers, like not nanotech, sorry, like your semiconductors and all those kind of things. So it's all in there still trying to improve livelihoods in one way or another. That's how I would sum it up.
Amazing. That's very well summed up. So sorry, one more question before we end. So one person wants to know if there are any challenges that you guys faced when transitioning over from JC or poly to uni, and how did you overcome them? And looking back, you guys are final year students now. Do you think you overcame them successfully, or do you think there were better ways you guys could have eased the bridge over to uni? Maybe Chester, you can start.
Okay. Well, basically, I can give an example. Basically, for transiting from poly to JC, poly to university was really a huge gap actually. Because in poly, you only learn about 40% of the stuff of what the uni's module teach. So you have a very certain background, but it's still not enough because of the questions that they set. So it's more of like, and especially at the point of time, I just came out of army and immediately went to the university already. So for us guys, we also have like a bit of problem with that. So it's really about time management, I feel, that is very important, that you should really consider. Because for me, my first semester itself, a lot of my friends also didn't do as well. But as the semester go by, we managed to adapt to it because of like, we're getting used to like the university life already. It's really a jump from poly to the university itself. So one word is basically time management. Yeah.
Okay, so time management, that's advice from Chester. How about maybe Megan, we can ask you, you didn't have NS to go through, so how was the bridge from
Yeah, I think NTU prepares you very well. So if you're struggling right now in your sciences, they have bridging courses, which are really, really useful. I mean, for the people my friends that took it. For me, I came from an IB school. So unlike Chester, you come in like blind, because nothing in engineering is really like what you study in JC, your physics and chem and stuff. So, but what is transferable is your exam techniques. Well, like your past year papers, and you love your calculator so much, and then you love your GDC. Yeah, you get to use all those skills again. So I love. I don't have taking exams. I love like practicing and applying my work. So that's something that really helps. I think practicing. And another thing I would say is my top tip is just to ask your profs, because like what Chester said in his sharing, our profs are super open. So I always just email my prof, be like, I really cannot understand this tutorial. And then when you go down there, they know the best ways, because they taught for maybe even like longer than you're born, maybe. So I don't know that. Yeah, but so they have the best ways to explain it to you. Yeah. So I would say approach your profs, ask your seniors for practice, and then just practice will help you. In terms of the bridging of the gap, I think just come in expecting, I guess I manage your expectations though. So like if you find it difficult, it's not unusual to find it difficult. So don't give up, and just try and find avenues to help yourself.
Okay, thank you, Megan. So Chester says time management, Megan says perseverance and asking for help. Looking at the time, Prof. Andy, do you have any advice to add to help students? How can they bridge the gap from JC or poly when they come into uni, especially for engineering?
I think I want to come from another side of the coin. As a faculty member, the university makes sure that every single of us is committed to understand the very basic fact that when students come to us, we should treat each one of them as if we are teaching our own kids. And this is the commitment we give to the university. We as faculty members, we certainly are working towards providing each and every student a holistic learning journey, so that they can maximize their potential and contribute to Singapore's economy. All right, so this is what is fundamental in when we go out and hire our professors, so that every one of us understand what's the expectation of us.
Great, thank you, Prof. Andy. So I think that will wrap up sort of our Q&A chat segment. So now we have Ms. Joy, who also joined us. She's the manager of outreach from NTU's School of Material Science and Engineering. So she'll be sharing a few words about MSE's upcoming events. So Ms. Joy, over to you.
Right, just very quickly, we have an event aside from the open house. If you just want to know some of the careers that our graduates go into after graduation, we have a talk with some of our alumni. So as you can see, they come from different industries. So come hear them, and there's a QR code here. So for the next one, next slide, please, Loveen. Yeah, so this is an exciting game just to get to know more about material science and engineering. So we have prizes at stake. So basically it's a puzzle room game, but we're going to do it online. So it's going to be fun, but at the same time challenging. So it not so easy because UJC students and poly students, we know that you love a good challenge. So thank you so much for attending the talk, and do check out our website for MSE. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Joy. And just before all of our audience goes, I'm sure you guys you might have some questions that you think of later on. So if the student panelists are comfortable, maybe you guys can type your school email into the chat box, which our audience can screenshot, and in case they have any questions, they can just email you. So that'd be really helpful. So yeah, for our audience, you can just screenshot the Zoom chat. It would, I think this would be really useful. Like, even if you don't think of questions today, maybe tomorrow you think of some questions, and the emails are right here for you to ask your questions. So yeah, do take a screenshot and ask away. So looking at the time, we have come to the end of today's sharing session. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you'd like to find more about NTU and the engineering programs that that we offer, do check out NTU's open house this Saturday on the 19th of February. So with that, we've come to the end of this session. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, you can leave. I will be here. So yeah.
Thank you. Hope to see you
Bye,
in
everyone.
NTU.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye-bye. We can go, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
guess
can go.
so.
Okay,
Thanks
Thank you
a
guys so
lot.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Amazing
Thank you
job.
so much for all your time. Thank you, Joy,
Okay.
for coming and sharing about the events in MSC. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Hi, Leon. Everything okay? Good?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. Do I claim anything,
Yeah.
or is that later?
I will send you the WSS number later.
Okay, Ken.
All right.
Okay, yeah, no rush for that. Okay, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your help. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.